What's up, you guys? Friendly Neighborhood Geek here, doing another video. This time, a type of video that I haven't done in a while. We won't be doing a review. If you see the thumbnail, I'm sure I'll probably edit this through my editing app. Um, we're gonna do a little story time because I haven't done those in a long time. um, Last ones I did, I mean, I haven't looked at them in a while. I do remember a little bit. I remember the topic, but I don't remember everything I said in those videos. I don't know if those got a lot of views, unfortunately. um, so I may keep those up on the channel. They've been up for a couple of years now, or may delete them. I don't know. We'll see. Some of them, like I said, my experience being an audience member on divorce court, that was, I did that for fun. That was a fun, interesting topic to do a video on. Um, but yeah, kind of have a lot to unpack. So sit back and enjoy, and just, maybe you can just enjoy my rant or my babbling about experiences and shenanigans that I've that I've had or that I've encountered recently. Oh man, the sun is bright. Let's see. Do this on video. Let's see if I turn my lamp off. How does it look? Okay. Yeah, the lamp was giving extra unnecessary light. Um, yeah, I'll do a little update real quick, I guess. Sure. So if you've been following me for a while, also thank you all for I reached like 1,000 subscribers. I think I have like 7,000 now. 7,000. I have to check. Um, so that's awesome. I'm glad that many people enjoy my content. Of course, I've been making content for years, and I've always tried to kind of, update how, my format, or change things around, or, do different things. Like I said, I upload the TikToks. I've done one book review on the Eco video game book adaptation. Um, and I mostly stick to my toy reviews. On occasion, I might upload an animation if I had the time to make. I was, had the energy at the time to make one. Um, so, like I said, and eventually, when I'm able to start doing traveling more and going places, go to conventions, stuff like that, I'll probably try to do some videos of what I capture on my trips and stuff like that. I think that would be really fun. Might be fun to do a vlog or something if I go somewhere. Um, but yeah, I look forward to that. Um, but yeah, so today is going to be a story time slash update. As far as next tour reviews, I should have pulled him, should have shown him, but he's all the way over there. I mentioned my last review. I've really been into Small Soldiers, the Small Soldier franchise, movie, whatever. So of course I want to hunt down all the figures. Of course, these are going on like 30-year-old toys, so they're kind of expensive. You can find some, loose for, really good deals, and I've seen a few that I'm thinking of getting. The business has been slow, unfortunately. So it's like, we don't have a lot of money coming in. It doesn't make sense to spend unnecessary money on something I really don't need right now. So that's why I haven't really bought anymore. I was gonna get one because this particular character in the Small Soldier toy line is kind of hard to get a hold of. And the seller was selling it to me, or offered it to me for a really, really good deal. Like it was a really, really good deal. It was under $20. That was honestly a steal. And I said to myself, I'm gonna buy it. I'll buy it tomorrow if it's still available. And when I looked, someone else bought it. Damn. I don't like to cuss in my videos, but damn. I was so mad. I was so mad. I was kicking myself because I seen that item go for like 40, like 30, 40, 50. And this person was offering it to me where I would have been paying less than $20, like a little bit under $20. That was a steal. That was a huge steal. So I'm kicking myself for not just hopping on it uh, when I had the chance. And that's why I try to tell my viewers, fellow collectors, if you're wanting to get something, if you have the means to get it, and you find it for a really good deal, hop on it. Buy it, hop on it if you can. Like I said, if you're in a position to do so, hop on it as soon as possible, because you don't know that item. Like I said, blink your eyes and someone else bought it and you missed out on getting it. So I'm still on the hunt for that particular figure. Like I said, there are listings for it, but their prices I don't think is, you know, prices I don't want to pay, or I just, like I said, it's too much uh, out of my price line to try to get right now. Bummer. Um, I might do some re-reviews. I recently pulled out my Studio Series Buzzworthy Bumblebee Cup. You see, um, I gave him this triple barrel shotgun that came with the Combiner Wars smokescreen. I still really like this figure. He's really charming. Definitely think he might be the next toy review. I don't know. I did a review on him back when I got him a couple years ago. In that video, again, quality's kind of poor a little bit. The video still holds up, but I'm like, just for the fun of it, I might just talk about him again. Why not? It's my it's my channel. Why not? So I might delete that old review and upload a new review. But I still like this figure. He's, some people, when he came out, people were kind of meh about him. But I think he's really charming. I think Cup, for the most part, has always had really good figures. Almost every Cup toy that we've gotten since the original 1986 toy, I think, yeah, for the most part, really hold up. I was, again, another character I wanted to get down the line. I've been wanting to get a G1 Cup because I just really like the design of him, the aesthetic of him. Hopefully one day he'll get a Missing Link figure, the new Takara toy line where they take generation G1 toys and give them modern, like, articulation and posability. They just announced a Ultra Magnus, G1 Ultra Magnus is getting modern posability. So that's really cool. So hopefully, like a whole bunch of other characters. We haven't gotten any Decepticons yet. That would be really cool. But to say all that, I would like to get some of the other Cup figures. Like, so I'd like to get the G1 version, a couple of the other ones. Um, and I really like how this figure has a good transformation. He has a cool gimmick where he can pop off the limbs. Um, I'm trying to remember. That doesn't bother me. But yeah, and they also reuse this mold for Orion Pax, G1 G1 Orion Pax, um, and his friend Dion, which was really cool. I would like to get those sets, the Orion, the Alpha Trion, and Orion's girlfriend Ariel. Really cool. Really like to get those sets. I really like that episode of the Generation 1 cartoon. Um, but recently, I don't know if it's because of me transforming him, this knee has become a little loose, unfortunately. Mind you, he's just kind of been, I just kind of kept him in storage. And like I said, I've transformed him a few times and fiddled with them. So that's kind of a bummer. It's kind of a bummer. It's a little bit, not to the point where it ruins the figure, but it's, like I said, it's a little bothersome. So yeah, but I'll address that in the reviews. So I don't know if that's common for this mold, or, like I said, me fiddling with them did that. But like I said, still really like them. Still charming figure. Like I said, I like to take my figures out and have them, you know, mix up the display. When I finish editing, I'm not sure. I might try to put music in the background, so just to spice it up a little bit. But yeah, update. Um, yeah, like I mentioned, my business has been slow, unfortunately. Business has been slow. I've been trying to sell some other pieces in my collection, sell some other miscellaneous stuff like clothes and electronic devices, stuff like that. Um, I got a tutor. For those who've been following me for a long time, since last year, I think I've been trying to get into the Army. Originally, I tried to go through the Air Force, didn't really have a positive experience with that. So I decided to try the Army branch instead, and I've had a much better experience with that. Um, The only challenge is just passing the test. I've taken it 3 times already. Each time I get a little bit closer to the amount of points you have to make on the test. Yes, the ASVAB test is a test you have to take before enlisting in the military. For those who don't know, um, and it's kind of like high school kind of material. It's different. It's a lot. Just Google it. Just Google it. So I got a tutor. Got a tutor to help me with the math section. We've been meeting every Tuesday since like July, so now it's going on 2 months. And I can take my test again next month on the 11th. So, like I said, Lord willing, if I'm able to pass it this time and move forward with the process, and of course, I'll do a video update talking about that and my experience, getting into the service. Um, so we'll talk more about that when, like I said, when I pass the exam. Um, so now that that's out of the way, so yeah, so I've really just been studying, like I said, working on my business and working on my content. Um, like I said, I'm self-employed, so I don't work a traditional job at the moment. I looked over the summer. I've looked for a couple years now, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm getting to the service, because life is getting harder. I'm getting older, and I want to do something that gives me financial stability and all the other benefits and travel and all those other good things that come with being, in the military. And I know a lot of people who are in it, friends from school, a few relatives who were in it, 30, 40 years ago. So, you know, I did my research before deciding, like, is this for me? Um, oh man, I gotta get some water. I gotta get some water. So, yeah, like I said, um, mm, mm, excuse me, all this chit chatting. So one of my other passions I said was, I always said I wanted to get into voiceover. I've always been told I had a nice speaking voice. I like to talk. I like, using my voice. So I've done research, throughout the years after graduating from high school. I've done research on it, and I found there's a few schools, um, like that kind of solely focus on just getting into the voiceover industry specifically. And I came across one that's here where I live in ATL, Atlanta, and I really like. They got really good reviews, all that good stuff. I really like what I've seen so far. It's just like 200, 200, 300 a month, to pay for the classes and the sessions and the training. Um, I like I see that, I'm like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do. Like, if I could do this for the rest of my life and then do other things as well, you know, or like I said, continue to have my business and do other things, but do this as my main career. Yeah, I would love that opportunity. So when I'm established or whatever, I'm gonna attempt take that chance, that leap, and pursue voiceover. Um, Another fun fact: a very famous '90s anime voice actor in general, but they're very well known in the anime spectrum. Um, Lives near me. I saw them twice at my local Walmart. I emailed them. The first time I saw them, they were on the phone, and I didn't want to, they were having a conversation, didn't want to be rude and approach them, and I was still like a little nervous. But I sent them an email, and they got back with me and stuff like that. And they said, yeah, if you see me again, you're more than welcome to come say hello, whatever. Um, in case you want to know who this particular voice actor is, voice actress, I'm talking about Tiffany Grant, very well known for playing Asuka in the Neon Genesis Evangelion anime English dub, and she's been a whole bunch of other stuff. She has a website that you could go to look at her career and stuff like that. I'm thinking that when I have the material or whatever equipment, I'm thinking of doing like an interview with her, and I think that would be a really cool experience, not only for me, but also for my viewers to see something completely different on my channel that I've never done before. I think I'm sure she would be open to doing that. So I'm going to ask her when I'm ready to do that, and I have everything set up. I'm going to ask her would she like to do that. So that'll probably be in the future. That'll probably be in the future. I don't know when. Just have to eventually set the ball in motion. But yeah. So with that out of the way, finally we get to the story time. Um, so I've talked about being, a young person, a young, a young black man in this generation, I guess, in this era. I've talked about relationships and situationships and just experiences I've had with the opposite sex. Some have been good, some have been bad. Um, does that make me feel a certain way towards all women? Of course not. Or all girls? Of course not. The same goes for guys. There are genuinely good, decent, kind hearted guys, and there's the opposite of that, unfortunately. And that goes both ways for both genders. Um, well, here's a situation. I was debating real quick, like just to make it interesting. You guys can see me play this game. If you've ever gone to Cracker Barrel, they have these on the tables. I'm not sure what the proper name for it is, but basically, you have to, like, there's a hole and you have to plug like one T over another T and remove it. You keep doing that. And it tells you, the instructions are on here. It tells you however many you have left, how smart you are, or something. It's funny. Um, but yeah, so I have, like I said, I have a pretty decent friend group. Unfortunately, where I am, a lot of my peoples don't rather live near me, or they live in different places. Everybody's busy doing their own thing. Really, the last time I hung out with friends, which is kind of sad, was 2021, and that was something I put together. I was the one who came and said, "Hey, let's all go hang out." That was my attempt to kind of reconnect with those friends. Those were good friends I had in high school, but kind of had to learn and accept that people change, and sometimes people outgrow each other and drift apart. And that's just kind of part of life. Unfortunately, can't really do anything about that. But the energy wasn't really reciprocated. Had a good time hanging out with them, reminiscing, catching up, knowing how everybody was doing, but it didn't lead to that being like a consistent, regular thing. It was just kind of a one and done type of thing. Um, and like I said, I keep myself busy with my hobbies, with my business. I've been working towards trying to get into the service. So, and I do stuff with my family, of course. Me and my family, we took a trip to Tennessee last month. Went to Dollywood, went to Pigeon Forge, I think, and just had a really good time. It was nice just having, this a trip, a two day, 3 day trip with your family, where you could just not think about a lot of anything and just enjoy the moment while it lasts. Um, well, like I said, I do talk to a lot of people though. I meet a lot of people through social media, stuff like that. I had a friend from school recently reach out to me and we kind of reconnected or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, this is someone I would like to continue to be friends with and continue to, maybe even come out and visit one day. They currently live in Vegas, which I have not been to yet. I know. What the heck? So I do plan on going there one day. So if my friend still lives there, of course, I have a friend who lives here. Show me around, stuff like that. Like that sounds like a fun. Like it would be fun. Um, I messed myself up. Wait, no. Okay, hold on. Yeah, cheat a little bit. That leaves us with 3. You can go both ways. Then it leaves us with 2. It says, um, if you leave 2, you're pretty smart. Pretty smart. So I got 2 left. So, okay. So we play the game. Um, yeah. So I'm trying to think. Like I said, talk to a lot of people, a lot of girls. Some could lead to a couple of scenarios led to some really solid friendships. I have two, yeah, for the most part, two solid female friends who really, you know, enjoy having me as a friend, and we have awesome conversations and stuff like that. And they come to me for advice because I'm a little bit older than these two particular friends. Um, so over the summer, I had a follower, uh, a follower who had been following me on TikTok for I guess like a maybe like a year, maybe like 2 years. They were cute, they were very pretty, and I took a chance and I messaged them on TikTok. They responded back to me. We started, having conversations and stuff, and we pretty much developed a friendship for the most part at that point in time, at least. Um, so then our conversations moved to Instagram, and that's kind of how we just kind of got so used to communicating through Instagram. This is kind of how our overall interactions were. We're just communicating through Instagram, which wasn't bad because Instagram, for those who use Instagram or don't use Instagram, you can FaceTime on there, video call with someone, or you could have a regular phone call on there, or you can send voice messages, which is what I kind of prefer to do. It's just easier. Like I'm a talker, I'm a speaker, so it's easier for me to um, like if I'm not in the mood to be on the phone or be on video, I send voice messages. That's just my thing. Um, so we were it's kind of it's bittersweet. We were maybe in communication for like a month, like the entirety of June, and maybe like the early half of July. Yeah, like the beginning of July, like the first week or something. So you could say like a month and a half, if you want to really say it like that. Like I said, we had some similar interests. They were they were very pretty. Of course, I'm not going to use I doubt they'll see this video, but out of respect, I won't use the person's name. I guess you could, I don't know. I was going to say let's call them Daphne, but let's call them Sophie. So, like I said, Sophie was cool. Um, like I said, they like photography. They had a dog and a cat, which are kind of their emotional support animals, sort of kind of, which again wasn't, no, of course, no shame on that. That's cool. So they were, like I said, they were animal lover and they were photographer. They went to school. They had like an associate's degree, and they worked from home or whatever, which was cool. Um, they, like with anybody, they had been through some things. They had a pretty solid childhood for the most part, but been through some things, had some good, some bad experiences dating. Um, they kind of had some trauma from their last relationship. So of course, when people tell me stuff like that, I'm a listener. I'm a listener. I'm a talker, and I'm a listener, and at times I can be an advice giver. And of course, I've had my fair share of experiences, good and bad. I know when I graduated from high school, I briefly went to therapy because I just felt like I needed to talk to someone about just certain things I experienced, and to an extent, still kind of dealing with to a degree. I do plan to. I still have my therapist's number and stuff like that information, so I do plan to go back when I have the means to do so. I know Army offers therapy to their soldiers or whatever, so that's good to know. Take advantage of that opportunity. Um, so, like I said, I'm an understanding person. Everybody goes through something, deals with stuff, whatever. So, of course, when they would share these stories with me, of course, I'd listen, I'd give my 2 cents because, like I said, if you're talking about a situation that you have with a guy to another guy, well, I'm a guy, so I know for the most part how guys think or whatever. Even though everybody's their own individual person, but still, it's like if you talking to your sister or your female friend or your female cousin about an experience you have with a girl. Well, they are a girl, so they know how girls operate basically. Oh my goodness, and take another drink of water. So we would have all types of conversations. It'd be about our hobbies or just our goals or like the personal stuff. Um, it may have had keep this PG. May have had a few more adult interaction conversations. We are grown young people, so yeah, take that as you will. Um, mm, mm, man, I had this water in the freezer. It's kind of become room temperature. It's still kind of cold, but not to what it was when I had it in the refrigerator freezer. Still good though. Delicious. Um, so a few times we would have there would be moments where they maybe said or did something, or maybe I came off a certain way that I didn't intend. Like I may have came off a negative way, but that was not my intention to come off that way. We would kind of have moments like that, and those moments kind of stood out to me. Like I wasn't really like I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that energy, that vibe, and so that tells me, hey, maybe this is someone I might just have to be, you know, friends with, and that's okay. That's okay. I've talked to people who were really solid people who I think would make good partners to someone, but I just didn't vibe with them. And I may have, talked or interacted with that person for a good minute, and I just, you know, felt like, yeah, I just see this person as a friend, and sometimes that happens. Um, you don't hit it off right off the bat, or maybe it takes some people longer to really kind of gravitate to someone. But like I said, if I feel like that early on, and early on in the interaction, that to me tells me like maybe this isn't someone I should try to pursue, in that way. But this is definitely someone I could see myself having a genuine friendship with, and that's kind of how I felt towards them over time that we communicated. Um, like for example, oh my goodness, the sun is bright. I apologize. I got my curtains open. Like talking about certain situations with a guy and calling them the N word. Now, personally, as a person of color, I don't really like using the N word. I feel like I'm offending myself. I have used it around peers. Um, and like I said, back then I was young, didn't entirely know better. But now, not really my thing. I really don't like using it honestly. So to hear I think they were black. I'm not sure if they may have been mixed. I'm not entirely sure, but to hear a black woman refer to a black man, a young black man, as the N word to me was offensive. And I brought that to their attention. Like if it was the other way around, I'm telling you about a situation I had with a girl, but I'm calling the girl the B word. But oh, I'm not saying that you're the B word or whatever. I'm talking about this particular person. No, that may come off of that's your outlook on all women or whatever. That might come off in a negative way. And I brought that to their attention. Like, yeah, I'm not too like think about that when you say it, or think kind of like I didn't say think before you speak. That's kind of how I was thinking. Like, think before you speak. That doesn't really. That's not attractive. That's not an attractive thing to hear. It's not feminine. Um, so little things like that, little things like that. And over time, I just kind of felt like, on top of what I'm trying to do with myself, I always told myself, hey, if I'm really meet someone and we connect, and when I'm in the service or right when I'm about to get in the service, I'll try to work around maintaining a connection with that person. Um, Rather, if I am stationed somewhere that's close to them or whatever, however I decide to do it, but if I go in and I'm single as a Pringle or single or free as a bird, then that's cool too, because then that gives me more time to focus on myself and get established and all, and just enjoy my situation and enjoy being in that type of environment. Um, so just on top of what I personally am trying to do with myself, and the fact that they live in Texas, which again I'm kind of big on. If we don't live in the same place, 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna work. You know, the whole long distance thing, especially if you're not in a position to just pick up and go see that person or pick up and move there. It was like when we were started talking. I was invited. They invited me to their family, like their family home or something that their family kind of have like reunions at, stuff like that. And I was very flattered, like, oh wow, thank you, like that's very very sweet and kind of you. But it's like, oh, we still don't, we still don't know each other. And I'm the type of person, like, I want to pay my way. Like, if I'm gonna come see you, I want to pay for it, because that's how I was brought up. You pay your way, as a guy. You have your stuff together, and that's how you handle business, whatever. But like, I was like, hey, though, I really appreciate that. That's sweet, or whatever. But just too early, too soon for that. Um, so I don't know if they were kind of like mad or disappointed that I felt like we worked better as friends. And yeah, they may have been salty about that. And I can kind of understand that to a degree. You think something is going to go in one direction and it doesn't. Um, but like I said, I try to explain to them just all those factors, and where you are, where they were in life. I think they were about to turn 30. I'm in my mid 20s. 4 more years, I'll be 30. Oh my goodness. But like I said, I'm just getting started in this new direction, this new career or life that I'm trying to start for myself. And you're already established doing your thing, and you're older. Like it just we weren't, like I said, we relationship wise we just weren't there, and that's okay. Like I said, I think we probably work better as friends, and like I said, that's fine. That's totally fine. Um, so long story made short, because this is going on 32 minutes. I know I talked about a lot of stuff before we got into the story time. Um, they decided to pursue a guy friend that they had been friends with longer than me, and sorry, uh, removing the notifications on my phone. They had a friend that they had known longer than me, and they decided to pursue that friend. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, do you go if you want to date your friend, date your friend. All right, whatever. Um, so I kid you not, the relationship with this friend they decided to date, it probably lasted like 2 days, maybe. So I wake up one morning and I check, I just casually just got on Instagram, and I see that we were blocked, or I was blocked. My female friend blocked me, of course, without any, like without any explanation. I'm like, which you don't do to people. I'm gonna get into that. I hate ghosting and blocking. I'm gonna get into that towards the end of the story. But like I said, I'm big on that. You don't do that. I am super duper big on communicating, and that could be for anything, whether friend, relative, romantic partner. If we can't, especially romantically, if we cannot communicate on simple stuff, then how are we going to make it as a couple, as a relationship, if you can't, if you know can't communicate with me over something minor? um so luckily I have their phone number. They randomly gave me their phone number, like a couple weeks prior to this happening, and I decided to text their number, like, "Hey, what's going on? Did I do something? Why am I blocked, ghosted?" So they asked me, "Did you expose my information?" Um, like I mentioned earlier, being grown and having more, you know, grown people interactions. They had shared some stuff with me. I'll just say I'm not going to I'm not I'm just going to say it was information, basically. this code word. You might be able to figure out the rest. Um, and I was like, no, like if someone, we're having a intimate type of moment, of course I'm not going to share your personal business or spread it. No, and I'm an introvert. I'm a private person, so who would I even effing share it with anyway? Um, and I'm pretty sure when we decided to be friends, they deleted them or they removed the information from our messages. Anyway, so I was like, no, like I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And they were kind of like panicking, like, well, I only share them with you and the person I'm now dating. Come to find out, the person that they decided to date was the one who exposed the information. And they did it because prior to them deciding to date each other, my female friend had turned down her guy friend. She turned this person down because she saw things in them that she didn't like. Hmm, kind of like how I felt towards them. Interesting. Hmm. And they decided to give them a second chance, and you see what the outcome was. So, of course, when she found out the truth, she broke up with the person. And I think she had like the night before cooked invited him over and cooked for him, and then he goes and does this to them. And I think in Texas it's against the law to do stuff like that. So they said they were going to press charges. I don't know if they did or whatever. So after that, I mean, we were cool, but it's like you kind of had to like you look. This sounds silly. They look like Boo Boo the Fool, which is the old saying. They look like Boo Boo the Fool. Like you're the fool. You know they couldn't have anticipated what the person that they decided to date was going to do to them, but the fact that you didn't talk to me first just to see if I did do it, and the whole time that we had interacted, I've never shown like I've never been disrespectful to them. I never, I never raised my voice at them. I didn't come off in a way like you couldn't, like I would get angry at you over something. Um, so it was so unnecessary, and I'm just so against that because I've experienced a lot. Um, I remember last month I was talking to someone. We may have talked for like literally like the weekend, and I think they ended up ghosting me, and it was very, very stupid and immature. Very stupid, immature. Again, we could have been friends. We could have had a genuine friendship, but you did that to me. So that just said a lot about you right there. Um, so, it was kind of like, yeah, we can be friends, but you're going to have to kind of work yourself back to what things were because of that situation. Like, I'm sorry what happened, but like I don't stand by ghosting, blocking people, and doing that to me. You know, I didn't appreciate that. I didn't like that because, like I said, you should have talked to me, had a general conversation with me first. Um, so maybe like a week. I don't know. I don't even know if it was a week after that. So we started, communicating again. I started my tutoring with my tutor for my military test. So of course, my focus was now back on like, okay, let me get back in the mindset of working towards my goal. So I was kind of like, yeah, if you want to talk to me, we can chit chat, but like, I'm probably not gonna reach out to you like that for a minute, because I'm doing my thing, and the whole situation with you blocking me. Um, so our last interaction, we were, it was casual. Like I felt like my energy was kind of like, I really don't want to be bothered, but I was still taking the time to text you out of niceness because you have reached out to me. Um, and the next thing I know, I'm blocked again. I'm blocked again. Um, I'm blocked again. Oh, the sun. I'm sorry, the sun. I'm blocked again without any explanation. I'm like, and so I'm like, what the f did I do this time to get blocked? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Oh, the sun! Ah! If I was a vampire, I'd be, I'd be screwed right now. But yeah, so that was the end of that. And the sad part was like we never talked on the phone and we never did a video call. Which towards the end I tried to like hey, this weekend let's try to do a video call. Like I said, it could be for like 30 minutes, half an hour. It doesn't have to be that long. Um, looking at the time. Uh, and we just never got around to it. And again, to be fair, like I kind of got used to just the way we had been communicating. I just kind of got used to communicating like that, where I really didn't consider doing a video call or talking on the phone. Honestly, um, and like I said, at any point in time, if you really wanted to, you know, like you got to meet me halfway. If you really want to do that with me, bring it up. Like address it, bring it up. Say, let's do it on this day at this time. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, sure, I'm down for that. If you, like I said, that's something you really want to do, I understand leading, of course, and, all that stuff as a guy. But like I said, you got to meet me halfway. if I don't bring it up or mention it, then you can bring it up and address it. Um, well, like I said, that's basically it. It's unfortunate. I like them. Like I said, it would have been nice to have maintained a friendship with them. Again, I'm sure I'll visit Texas at some point. One day I will visit Texas. And it's like, dang, and now I'm here and you don't even know. You don't even know I'm here. Like, if we were still cool, I could have, you know, met up with you or whatever, came to visit you. That would have been a nice opportunity or nice experience. But like I said, we only talked for like a month and a half, and another thing they said that I didn't like, um, when I kind of was like expressing like we should be friends. I know rejection, rejection, and yeah, I know rejection. I feel a little bad, but like I said, don't if it's not right, if you don't feel like they're the person for you, don't force it. You shouldn't force anything. Um, they said that there are N words everywhere, referring to that. There's guys everywhere. Like I'll never have to worry about not being able to meet someone or date someone. Was basically what they were saying. I was like, okay, that's nice. Like, guys could have like, what if I had that same mindset? Like, oh, there's bees everywhere. I'm sure you guys know what the B stands for. Like, there's girls everywhere. And I mean, to a degree, I kind of do think like that when it comes to people like that. But of course, I don't think of them, like I said, I'm not thinking of them in a negative way. I think of them like there's people everywhere, there's girls everywhere. Like I could talk to, like, if this interaction or whatever doesn't work out with this person, not saying if that person is a negative person or a genuine person, whatever reason it doesn't work out, like, yeah, I could kind of, there's plenty of other people I could give my energy to or talk to. Yeah. But I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna refer to it like that. I'm not gonna call girls B words. Obviously, I'm not gonna call a girl the B word. Um, so that was just, again, that was just off-putting. That mindset was just off-putting to me. And like some reasons like that is why, yeah, I can see myself being your friend, but I don't think we would work as boyfriend and girlfriend. Um, that's it for this long ass story time. I apologize. Oh boy. So like I said, next video might be a re-review on Cup. Because like I said, I really, really like this figure and he's really charming and I like him. I just really like this character. Um, I'm such a fan of the veteran Transformer characters, Cup, um, the Bayverse, Revenge of the Fallen, Jetfire, which I still don't have a Jetfire because almost all his figures are super duper expensive. Um, I was gonna get his Siege figure some years ago. I think it was like at a Myers for $70. I had the funds for it at the time, but I was like, ah. I was trying to be responsible. I was like, ah, I don't want to just flat out spend $70 on this toy. But he's like a really big figure, so you were getting your money's worth. But I would have liked to maybe pay like 65 for him or something. Him, Jetfire, Cup, Ironhide counts as well. Ratchet, I guess count. Yeah, Ratchet counts as well. Alpha Trion. I always like the old characters. I don't know why, and that goes for almost any piece of fiction. Like old characters just hit differently. Um, but yeah, Cup might upload some TikToks. Don't know when I'll do another one of these. Like I said, the whole military thing process goes well, if I'm able to pass my tests next month, fingers crossed, pray for me. Then of course I'll do an update talking about that and the channel and stuff like that. But like I said, channel's not going anywhere. Channel will forever be here, as long as I'm able to continue to make videos. Um, like I said, I might have to go on a hiatus, of course, when I go through training and stuff like that and get established in my new situation. Um, but until then, I'll continue to do as many videos as I can. So, yeah. Oh man. Oh, talking. I know all this talking. So like, comment, share, and stay tuned for more. Peace, you guys.